Here's Alex Chamberlain, the designated hitter, went 1 for 4 last night, and this is a guy who sits in the lineup littered with 300 hitters. You have a Goonie with a 378 average, then Gonzalez 333, Chamberlain here 370, behind him Singleton 336, Padron 388. I can keep going, Gilbert. There's a lot of good batters as Santulli will start off Chamberlain with the strike.
And that makes it so dangerous. The deeper that the lineup is, the more pressure they can produce, especially later in that lineup. But Dante coming out, and he's looking so much more like his usual self.
Nothing in 2 after a looping curveball from Dante. He's looked very confident on the mound. His starts have been good. It's kind of the 3rd and 4th inning that have been his struggle. Pulls a slider off the plate. It's 1 and 2, and I think that's some players have an issue settling into ball games. Santulli has no trouble with that. For him, it's kind of later in the innings. I think that's just him being stretched out. His arm, normally out of the pen, is a lot more solid. As a starter, it's been a little bit rough as the game drags on. Here's a grounder up the middle of the diamond. It's going to skip into the outfield. Gonzaga couldn't cut it off, and there's a leadoff single for Alex Chamberlain. And if Brandon Gonzaga can't get it, it's normally a good piece of hitting. Chamberlain gets the first hit for the Honkers, and here's the lefty Jordan Singleton. Singleton, the leader in home runs and RBIs for this team, takes a strike in at the knees. It was a perfectly placed pitch there from Santulli. If they had kind of the rectangle strike zone pointed up, it would have been right in that lower right box and perfectly placed. Nice pitch from Dante. It was the heater. Singleton went 0 for 3 yesterday, but he did work a walk, and he is the team leader in walks. So a guy who gets on base in multitude of ways. Santulli heads home. Singleton squares for a bunt, then pulls back 1 and 1.
Whoa. Churchill wanted that strike on the outside corner. Couldn't quite pull it back to the heart of the zone. But Dante's executing nicely here. He looks really sharp.
Dante with a lot of moxie. The right-hander heads over to first to check the runner. In there safely is Chamberlain. A lot of moxie for the righty. He has just a lot of drip is what the kids call it, but a good way that he carries himself, walks around the mound like a professional, and goes about his work like a professional. 1-1 here from Santulli is in there for a strike. Singleton doesn't like the call. He's going to take time. Gary Coy calling balls and strikes behind the plate. Tom Denholm over at third, and Chris Castro over at first. The sun is out over Mel Olson. Santulli now the only infielder along with Jacob Moyer in the shade. The rest of the field is littered in the sun. It's a beautiful day, and we're on time for a 6:52 start. Santulli goes in, and it's called strike 3. Singleton goes down looking, and there's the second K of the day for Dante.
Dante's been just so good in the strikeouts. He's got 27 now across 18.1 innings pitched. That strikeout rate is ridiculous, and his stuff is just biting, dodging, ducking, and overall fantastic.
Not enough adjectives to describe it. Dante, 34% strikeout percentage, only a 9% walk percentage as he starts off Padron with a strike. Time and temp here at 6:52. We were perfectly on time for our 6:35 start. The weather 72 degrees. It's only going to get a little bit cooler, dropping about 68 degrees as we'll get to the latter innings. Here's Cameron Padron, 0 for 3 yesterday as they're going to check the runner again.
I love that pickoff from Dante. A lot of guys step off the rubber and kind of flip it over there, but looks like he's doing a dry rep over there to first. Follows through, throws straight to the glove, and it's always on the money.
The first baseman's a lefty, and he's going to swing at the 0-1 pitch. It's grounded over to Gonzaga. Goes to Aikawa for one. The stretch over to first in time. 6-4-3. And the Fish Sticks do some twin killing to end the top of the second. These bats are trying to get hot. We'll see them here in the bottom. Armbruster escaped a jam in the first. Let's see if he can work a more conventional inning here in the second. The Fish Sticks in Game 2 of this series, and also in Game 2 of a 10-game stretch that is 10 games over the course of 11 days. We saw them do this last month where they played as many games in the same amount of days as here. Brandon Gonzaga looks at a strike, but this is just a lot of baseball. Kribbe said the big thing about this stretch is get ready to see a lot of different pitchers. The arms are going to come in the plentyfold. There are going to be a lot of new pitchers, and maybe some guys you haven't even seen pitch might go out there and get some innings.
And that's really important, especially later into this season. You've got guys like Hodina and Kyler Saunders who have pitched so much to start the year. They're getting tired. We saw Caden kind of wear out his last start. So getting some other guys like Levi and
0-2 is up and in. to Brandon Gonzaga's head. He ducks out of the way. Now 1-2.
Galvin was the name I was looking for. Levi Grothin, Patrick Galvin, guys like that who we don't get to see too much. It'll be good to see those guys throw.
Gonzaga, a guy who walks a lot. He doesn't hit too much, just a 245 average, but 415 on base percentage. 4 strikeouts to 11 walks. That's a good K to walk ratio for anyone listening. 1 ball and 2 strikes. He also doesn't strike out just too often. Is the ball there? Is off the plate, 2-2. High contact percentage, 92% of the time he's going to put wood on the ball.
Brandon, great hand-eye coordination. That's why we see him out there at shortstop. So smooth, good contact hitter. Reminds me of Stephen Kwan almost.
Good comparison. 2-2. Gonzaga goes fishing, though, this time. A rare strikeout for the shortstop, and there's the first out of the second inning. Another strikeout swinging, though it's back-to-back, stretching back to last inning for Armbruster. Here's Jacob Moyer. We don't see Moyer too often in the starting role, but today he gets the nod over in first base. Did not play yesterday, and the righty will lumber in for his first at-bat here against these Honkers. First pitch to Moyer, waves and misses, and Armbruster looks a lot more settled in here in the second.
He does. I like that swing from Moyer, though. Oftentimes we've seen him strike out looking. I like to see him pulling the trigger and feel himself swing that bat in the box.
Oh, one Moyer swings and misses again. Moyer out of Bothell, Washington, 6'3", 230 pounds. He has a big frame there in that right-hand box. He's a good batter if you can get some runners on. We saw him obviously at the start of the year hit that grand slam, and that was really a start of a small uptick before he resettled. 0-2, checks his motion. Did he go around? They're going to say no, safe. 1-2 now.
You could see the catcher, Jordan Singleton, he was throwing it down to third like that was strike 3. Kind of a show him up kind of a thing to do.
Herrera on deck. Here's the 1-2. Moyer lifts one high in the infield. Might be playable here for Padron. He's near the Fish Sticks dugout, and it's going to bang off the roof of Mel Olson instead. So Moyer will get another crack at it. The Fish Sticks are coming off over 700 miles traveling, playing a traveling back-to-back 2 days ago. They played a game in Springfield, Oregon, and then traveled all the way up to Port Angeles. They won both of those West Coast League games, and Kribbe was just very proud of his team. He said winning while doing that much traveling is a very hard thing to do. Here's the 1-2 to Moyer, fouls it off. He'll see it again. He says, just have to stay so focused during that stretch. Everything has to kind of go right. You got to like your teammates to do that. You got to be able to travel well, sleep together well, and he just said all of that was really a good concoction of winning, and he was very proud. I don't think he was too happy about the loss last night, but he'll live with it. There's another swinging strikeout. That's 3 in a row for Armbruster, and Moyer's down. Here's the 9-hole hitter, Liam Herrera.
It's a tough schedule for these Fish Sticks.
Herrera takes a ball off the plate. Slim numbers from Liam, just a 182 batting average. 1 ball, no strikes now. Herrera's second pitch is in at his hips. It's a ball, 2-0. There's 2 away here. We're in the bottom of the second. No score at the Friar. And while it is hard to travel in those teams, the Fish Sticks are one of the only teams doing that in the Pacific International. They're playing these West Coast League games up in Wenatchee, Port Angeles, Springfield, and all of that's an effort to maybe get bumped up to that league. Herrera grounds one over to third. It's going to scoop by Gonzalez. He made a diving effort, but Herrera rounding first, now heading for second as that ball pins up in the corner. And he's got a 2-out double. Herrera finally gets to some hitting action in the third baseman. Sits on second, and here's Tristan Beering with 2 outs.
Love to see that from Liam Herrera. Nice swing. Poked it past his opposing third baseman and Gonzalez over there. Tough play on the backhand. Couldn't quite rein it in. And now it'll be TJ Beering here to swing it for the Sticks, and we'll see what he can do.
Beering, excellent numbers. He is just a tip-top center fielder. 382 average, 441 slug, 481 on base. He already had a single today in the first and a stolen base. Cracks one high into center field. Moser ranging back in the ballpark's going to hold this one. That's the final out. So after the 2-out double, the Fish Sticks can't capitalize, and Armbruster gets 2 more strikeouts and a 0 on the scoreboard. Let's go to the top of the third.